I just wanted some sauce on those zingers.
All right, everybody. Hope you're having an awesome day. The world is still burning and it sucks. A couple shameless plugs. First and foremost, make sure you subscribe to Rich of Review Tech USA. Why did I say Rich of? But subscribe to this channel. I upload content on a daily basis and also stream on a fairly regular basis. So make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and also leave a comment. It helps out in the algorithm. And two, I have an ASMR channel called Tech 25 ASMR. I have a bunch of content up there already, and in 2026 I'm going to be dropping a whole bunch more, and I'll have links to everything I mentioned below in the description and top pinned comment. So pretty much making a PC, or building a PC I should say, is slowly becoming less and less affordable, again due to, guess what, the AI data centers needing a whole bunch of components. And these companies like Samsung, SK Hynix, Micron has completely left the consumer RAM market. They used to make Crucial at the end of, some are saying January, some are saying February. Crucial's no longer going to exist. They're not going to be making consumer RAM anymore. So the prices of RAM have gone up through the roof. I've beaten that to death a billion different times. But if you think GPUs are going to be safe from this, no, they have memory inside of them. And the prices of the 5090 are already going up astronomically. And on top of that, too, it seems that the supply for mid-range and lower-end GPUs, I don't really know if you would consider a 5060 or 5070 Ti or 5060 Ti lower end, they're going to be thinning out how much of those are going to be made. And essentially, they're going to be unofficially discontinued. Now, this information came from Hardware Unboxed, but I'm actually citing the article techradar.com. And there's a community post that I want to show from Hardware Unboxed that kind of clarifies what's happening with the 5060 Ti and 5070 Ti. I think I may have said 5060 before. The 5060 is not included with GPUs that are essentially being discontinued. Now, here's the original story. YouTube channel Hardware Unboxed tells us Nvidia has essentially killed off the 5070 Ti. Even if this isn't officially the case, as we've heard nothing from Team Green to that effect, because there's a widespread shortage with this GPU. So they could say, oh, on paper, it's not discontinued. If you can't find it anywhere and retail stores can't even get a hold of new 5060 Ti's to sell and 5070 Ti's to sell, okay, fine. You aren't officially saying it's discontinued, but it may as well be. In fact, supply of the 5070 Ti is now so thin that we're told Asus has placed the model in end-of-life status, which they kind of rebuked later on. But of course, remember, Micron, like 5 seconds before they officially announced they're leaving the consumer market, said it's like, oh, we're really going to support our consumers and the gamers and the gaming community. And then like a month later, they were like, yeah, no, we're going to be just selling to AI data centers because it's just too delicious and too profitable. So don't trust anything that a corporation says, please, for the love of God. Their whole job is to make as much money as possible. They want to pull the wool over your eyes so they have good PR publicly, and then they'll just screw you over. No problem if it means their pockets will be lined. So do not believe a word that any corporation tells you with this. Continuing, meaning the big graphics card maker is officially done with the Nvidia GPU. Add your own seasoning as ever with all of this. So Asus is coming out saying that, no, we're not discontinuing. Nvidia is coming out and saying, no, we're for the gamers and all this. I'll show you the update in a second. But they're going to tell you the thing that tries to damage control for them as much as possible and mitigate the PR nightmare that stuff like this could be. To underline what this means, Asus is, in theory, not going to produce any more of its various 5070 Ti models. Whatever Asus 5070 Ti graphics cards are left on shelves now and in warehouses represent the remaining inventory from the company. And once that's gone, there'll be no more. And last thing here, furthermore, this is interesting, and it kind of like, listen, go by the retailers, not the corporations with this. Furthermore, this chimes with what Australian retailers are saying about the RTX 5070 Ti, namely that they can't buy this graphics card from their distribution partners. Hardware Unboxed claimed that these retail outlets are expecting this to remain the case throughout the entire first quarter of 2026, so through to April at the very least. And it's going to go on. If I'm a betting man, it's going to go on way longer than that. Now, Nvidia contacted Tom's Guide about this information that's being put out there about the 5060 Ti and 5070 Ti, and this is what they had to say. Tom's Guide reports that Nvidia replied to them regarding this rumor, denying that any current GeForce graphics card is no longer shipping. Nvidia stated that demand for GeForce RTX GPUs is strong and memory supply is constrained. We continue to ship all GeForce SKUs and are working closely with our suppliers to maximize memory availability, which they could say that Hardware Unboxed was putting out misinformation all they want to. Also, Moore's Law is Dead had a similar take in a video that I think was just posted where he's hearing the same thing about the 5060 Ti and 5070 Ti, and they're really going to try to scale those back, essentially discontinuing them to put out more 8GB graphics cards, or they're re-releasing the 3060. At least I heard some good news, rumor still, but good news that it's going to be the 12GB version of the 3060. So, yay. Graphics card that was released in 2021 being re-released in 2026, because that's what people want. Oh, dude, I hate Nvidia. I really do. I can't stand them. I can't stand all these AI companies. I can't stand the data centers. I can't stand anyone who's pushing this. I can't stand everyone who wants us to force AI down our throats. But now, Hardware Unboxed, before I lose my mind and crash out, he had a statement that he posted on his YouTube channel, and this is what he had to say. Seen a few outlets misrepresenting our latest video. To clarify, Asus did not tell us that Nvidia said the RTX 5070 Ti has been discontinued. Asus told us that there is very little supply of the 5070 Ti, so their own 5070 Ti products, e.g. the Prime and Tough Gaming, have been put into end-of-life status. With retailers also unable to source 5070 Ti SKUs from any AIB, this effectively makes it a dead product, which is true. Nvidia have officially said that all SKUs remain in production and that the 5070 Ti is not end of life or discontinued. Whether or not AIBs actually receive enough supply to justify continued production is another question. Now, Asus gave some long-winded statement saying that, oh no, we're not discontinuing the 5070 Ti. This is misinformation. Again, it's damage control. They don't want to deal with the ire of the consumer, even though they really don't care in the end. So they're trying to walk back their original statements. Like, for example, here, I'll read this one part to you that Hardware Unboxed posted. Asus reaches out again to provide another statement, the third statement we've received from Asus. That means they are panicking. Now saying that 5070 Ti is not discontinued or end of life. This directly contradicts the original statement. Listen, you're not going to be able to buy one. If you were eyeing a 5060 Ti, 5070 Ti, get an AMD card instead. Not that AMD is an angel in this whole AI debacle, but they're nowhere near as deep into it as Nvidia is. So I've kind of had it with Nvidia at this point. Now, did you watch my previous video talking about what Jeff Bezos said about local computing and how just like electricity, computing is going to be all in the cloud, and it makes much more sense that way. It's illogical, maybe that's the word he used. I don't know if I should air quote it, to think that everyone's just going to have local computing in their home. It's going to be like a power grid. Makes much more sense. So all of these corporations get to control how much your compute costs. They're going to make you pay monthly instead of you just owning your computer. You could build a computer for $1,000, $1,200 and use it for years. You'll have to pay them monthly. They'll be able to track everything. Not that they're not doing that already, but it'll be on steroids because all of your information, every single file that you upload, every single thing will be in the cloud, and you'll never own anything. And if you want to actually have access to video edit, to do work, to game, you're going to have a subscription. You're going to have to continue to pay for it. And that is what they want. And this is what we're seeing right now. I hope this all goes away and Moore's Law is dead, and he's right about this. And he has industry insiders that say this won't be a permanent thing. And we'll start to see some easing within, I don't know, the numbers go all over, let's say 12 months. But it's not looking good right now. And all these companies and corporations are focusing on these data centers. And if the AI bubble bursts, their backup is going to be that everyone has to use cloud computing if they want to do, well, anything. Again, you will own nothing and be happy. Now, if something changes with this and the 5070 Ti and 5060 Ti are readily available, I will update and make a new video. But I assure you, let's see what happens in a couple months. They're trying to damage control right now to mitigate bad press. But I have a feeling that what Hardware Unboxed originally said is unfortunately going to be the case. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.